And while Walz may not be VP, he's adopted some new pronouns. ED, election denier.
They've released analyses of election data out of Clark County, Nevada that show some pretty convincing evidence of election tampering. What can we do to make sure, A, that the midterms actually happen, and B, that they're free of fraud?
We see one of the first things they do is try and restrict the vote. This is one of the things, though, that this is going to take power to the streets. And look, I don't know what the answer is on this, but I've been saying this. I think we need a shadow government.
Tampon just said the election was rigged, storm the streets, and form a shadow government. And the media doesn't even care because it's just Tampon being Tampon.
Guys, it's time for Tampon Tim to get exposed again because this guy has become an election denier. You've seen the beginning of the video, and it doesn't stop there because he basically is getting cooked in this entire video. This video is a Tim Walz roasting session. So if you're down for that, you already know what to do. Drop a like on this video because trust me, we're just getting started. And you know what's worse than just random strangers roasting you? Your own family, because Tim Walz's son cooked him, and this fool dummy had the stupidity, he had the thought that he was going to go out and actually tell everybody at this woke rally that he attended.
I got an 18-year-old Gus, and I'm with Gus out there, and I'm having one of those dad talks with him. I was giving Gus my wisdom on what he had done wrong. You know, I was because I know these things, right? I'm the dad. In the middle of it, he gives me the old, says the guy who got his ass kicked by Donald Trump. And I'm like, okay.
Talk about humiliation. This guy, I guess, is good to be able to find some sort of humor in getting your ass kicked in an election. But if it were me, in my opinion, that's a topic that I feel like would be off limits. Like, look, you insult me about that damn election and you live with me, I'm kicking your ass out of the house, okay? I'm just keeping it a buck. But it didn't stop there because he self-deprecated even more by bagging on white guys, even though he's a white guy.
Well, Sammy, thank you. And to all the young people who are here, I just pause for a moment and look around and look at, I'm especially talking about these old white guys who seem to disappoint us on a regular basis in this country.
I always found this to be extremely strange. What's up with these like self-hating whites? People, you know, people say that like, because I have a channel like this, I hate myself. I can assure you that I like myself quite a bit. But people like Tim Walz always ragging on white people, I got a feeling that maybe he doesn't like himself too much. And I can't blame him necessarily because he's not a particularly likable guy. I mean, I would be asking God why every single day if I looked and acted anything like Tampon Tim Walz.
It was Minnesota, the home of the worst, the stupidest man I've ever seen run for office. Is there something wrong with that guy? He's always bouncing. He's going with his heart. Yeah. I never got that. But there's something wrong with that guy, I'm telling you.
Elon Musk also took a turn because Tampon Tim is over here ragging on Musk and talking about how he's happy the Tesla stock dropped, even though his own state that he governs, Minnesota, relies on Tesla stock. This person is basically a effing idiot.
I mean, you had Tim Walz, who's a huge jerk, running around on stage with the Tesla stock price where the stock price had gone in half, and he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do! What a creep! What a jerk! Like who derives joy from that? And it was pointed out to him that actually, Minnesota State Pension Fund is a major investor in Tesla. But he didn't care. He was so overjoyed by Tesla stock going in half. Does that sound like a good person to you? I don't think so.
So guys, we got to react to a video with Clay Travis and Jacqui Heinrich, a Fox News reporter. I actually never knew. I noticed this person's face, like, oftentimes sits in the front at press secretary a White House press secretary to Vince, but I never paid attention to the fact that they were a Fox News reporter. But she is having moderating a conversation here between Clay Travis and Tommy Vietor of Pod Save America, a woke propagandist podcast. So he's one of the hosts on there. And of course, he starts deflecting when the topic of the rest of what Tampon Tim Walz comes up, including him saying that DEI, we didn't go far enough with the DEI agenda. We weren't woke enough, and that he wants a shadow government. I shit you not. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz offering the latest explanation of why he and former Vice President Harris lost in November.
Our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them.
Let's bring in Clay Travis, founder of OutKick, and Tommy Vietor, former Obama national security spokesman and the co-host of Pod Save America. Guys, there's just so much to get to, but I do want to play a little bit more of Tim Walz to kick us off, because I just think there are so many highlights in there that we need to show you one more. Call for number one very quickly.
You can never get enough of Tim Walz, I guess, right?
I've been saying this. I think we need a shadow government, so when all these things come up every single day, we've got an alternate press conference telling the truth about what things are happening. You know what's going out.
All right, Tommy, I just want to start with you.
We need, you heard that right, guys. We need to have something that operates outside of the three branches, because Tim Walz feels like he wants some sort of deity-like authority to control the federal government.
That, you know, the Democrats didn't do enough to own DEI and immigration, but now also calling for a shadow government. I mean, is this who you want as the face spokesman for the party right now?
Well, a shadow government doesn't mean a scary government. I think it means the British version, where you have like a person in waiting for all the senior cabinet positions going forward. But regarding DEI, let me tell you who would not have put classified information about the Houthi bombing campaign in the Signal group chat. Siku Brown, who was the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff until Pete Hegseth fired him. America doesn't have a DEI problem right now. We have a competency problem, because we have a Fox News weekend anchor named Pete Hegseth, who you tell me may or may not have been tipsy at the time he was sending around this classified information.
Oh, now he
breaking
was drunk.
all the rules, putting at risk service members, and making terrible decisions, while Mike Waltz, the national security advisor,
I just heard a lot of deflection over Tim Walz. I mean, what does that have anything to do with Tim Walz?
It doesn't.
Saying that there should be more DEI, that there should be more immigration, that there should be a shadow government.
You see how he just brushed off what Tim Walz said, because he knows it sounds crazy. So he's like, well, I can't defend that. Instead, I want to just go on the opposing position. Guys, people are onto these tactics. They don't work. You actually really do have to defend your positions and the people that you support. If they support positions and you support them, you got to defend those positions. Attacking the other side and hating Trump and everybody in his cabinet and all of his supporters does not work. Reference point, November 5th.
I mean, that sounds to me like you don't have an answer to my question and want to deflect. Clay.
My answer to your question is that the
Clay,
black chairman of the Joint Chiefs would not have made the mistakes that Pete Hegseth made.
Okay, well, let me respond to Tommy there. First of all, Tommy, I mean, you're going to try to argue that Pete Hegseth is drinking. I mean, that's completely unsubstantiated,
you tell me, Clay.
Absurd,
you tell
and
me.
Untrue.
I don't know.
It's untrue. I mean, it's a ridiculous accusation. Let me tell you what the previous administration did. They had 13 people killed in Afghanistan.
Come on,
Nobody
now.
was held accountable for that at all.
Nobody.
We had Lloyd Austin, who was our defense secretary, vanish in critical condition in the hospital, and the Biden administration didn't even know about it. We got more coverage of what I will admit was a ham-handed and screwed up addition of a media member onto a group chat Then we did 13 dead soldiers in Afghanistan and a defense secretary that.
And watch, he ain't about to say not a dang gum thing about the 13 service men and women killed in Afghanistan. He not gonna say nothing about it. These people don't care about none of this stuff. They're just propaganda.
That went AWOL, and his number 2 was actually on vacation in the Caribbean, if I remember correctly, and didn't even know why she was in charge. So to me, that is far more significant of a story there.
It sounds like the sort of takeaway from this conversation is that, you know, Democrats still don't have, you know, anything new that they want to talk about in terms of what their party wants to stand
Everybody
for.
knows that. No Democrat
and who's going to
wants to
lead
talk
it in the
about
future. Got to go, guys. We have some breaking news to get to.
If you want to have a case race,
Thanks for having you.
Me, Pete
we'll have you
Hegseth,
back
we'll
again
go against
soon.
the world, man. We'll have a great
Thanks,
time.
guys.
Cut him off there at the end. This fool just want to just keep on talking. That's all they can do. Is they could try to make stuff up. They could obviously point out every little mistake that any conservative makes and make it turn whatever little molehill into a mountain. You know, you could do whatever you want to do, but the fact remains that they're literally asking for people to get fired over this Mike Walz, like accidentally adding somebody to a group chat, which led to literally no harm, versus people dead. Let's not forget Hillary Clinton and Benghazi, and let's not forget Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris, because Kamala was the last person in the room for the Afghanistan withdrawal, and they both are responsible for the deaths of at least those 13 people, not to mention the rest of the Afghani people who were there, who also were killed due to this withdrawal as well. But do they want to focus on actual death of Americans? Of course not. They want to focus on whataboutism and what-if-ism, like, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? Well, guys, nothing happened. This crazy reporter was added and nothing else happened. That's not even what the point of this video is about, but basically, this is how the Democrats operate. Anytime you bring up anything, it could be Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, they're going to be like, well, what about Pete Hegseth adding it to the group chat? They're always going to say something stupid and irrelevant in a attack line. They are not going to try to defend Joe Biden's cognitive decline being hidden. They're not going to try to defend Tim Walz and every idiotic, moronic thing that he says, because it's indefensible. They're not even going to try to defend men playing in women's sports, because how do you defend it? It's stupid. Anybody who you see defending it always ends up looking like a deranged lunatic and a complete moron. So they stop doing it. They're like, you know what? Why don't we just talk about, oh, well, we need diversity. They're taking away Black history. They're stealing elections. Like, now, election denier in chief, Tampon Tim Walz, you heard it here first. Okay, like, this guy is a complete joke. What happened to all that hypocrisy? You can't deny elections. How quickly they forget. But guys, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Well, he's a loser. Yeah, I mean, he's a loser. He lost an election.
I think that's quite sad, but I think Governor Walz, unfortunately, is living a sad existence after his devastating defeat on November 5th.
He played a part. You know, usually a vice president doesn't play a part, they say. I think Tim played a part. I think he was so bad that he hurt her.
Look, Tim Walz is a complete moron to me.
But she hurt herself, and Joe hurt them both. They didn't have a great group, but I would probably put him at the bottom of the group.